Hey everyone, it's Sharon Devonish Lead, and welcome to another edition of NetStruc Talks. Today, I will be speaking with an award-winning editor, reporter, nationally and internationally known. She's also the editor for the nationally known Amsterdam News, and we are going to be talking about how to empower Blacks in our community. Stay tuned. Welcome again to another edition of NetStruc Talks, and I have the beautiful Nayaba Arinde. Did I pronounce it right?
Nayaba Arinde. It's close though.
Arinde, yes, Arinde. I'm so sorry, but I want to introduce you guys to an amazing, amazing woman. I met her. I've known about the paper. I've known about her and all the work that she's done with the Amsterdam News. But I was actually one of the recipients with her when we were honored at the 500 Men Making a Difference Boss Woman brunch a couple of weeks ago, that you saw that it was just posted all over the place. And she actually had a feature in Amsterdam News with us. So welcome to NetStruc Talks. How are you?
So honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to be one of your guests. I'm very, very, very honored. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Now you have a lot of accolades behind you, your name. So you're an editor, you're a writer, you're an author, activist, radio show host, and you are a producer. Where do you have the time to just woosah? Just,
Well,
because
the
Amsterdam News is really pushing. I mean, they're known nationally now. So where do you have the time to do all of this?
you try to have to make the time, Sharon, because you have to fit everything in. We're mothers, so you know how that is. You've got to make sure you cooking the breakfast, the lunch, the dinners, the breakfast, all that, the ironing the clothes, washing all that stuff, and doing your job and doing your extra stuff. So we just make it happen.
You just make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, you were doing an exceptional job. You were doing an exceptional job in all the work and all the great things to what you're doing. I want to talk about you've been with Amsterdam News for 17 years this year.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know it has evolved. I mean, I remember when Amsterdam News started, it was literally just a local newspaper that covers things just in Harlem. And now you have stories, amazing stories with people from all over, that's really just empowering the Black community, highlighting what Black members are doing. Talk to us about what was that change? What was that shift? When did you realize of that shift was going into that you were getting bigger and bigger and bigger?
So we are actually 113 years old. 114 this December coming. With me, I've been with the paper for 16 years. When I got to the paper, my main focus was social justice. Before me, it was had become very business orientated, which is great. But my niche, if you like, is social justice. So when I went for the interview for a job that wasn't advertised, by the way, but I knew there was some changes about to be made. So I approached the publisher and I said, Mr. Tatum, actually I approached Eleanor Tatum. I said, I know the job isn't advertised, but I know it's about to be vacant. I think I could do that job. Meanwhile, I was a new mom. Anyway, I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old at home. I worked at the Daily Challenge, which is a Black newspaper, family owned, out in Brooklyn. I worked at home. I was very comfortable. I thought I could do this job in Harlem, an hour away. I could do that job. I said, so here I went. Eleanor, I think I could do that job. And she's like, okay, go see my dad. Bill Tatum. And I said, my thing is social justice. Ever since I came to the US, I've been focusing on the Black community, what we need, how to fight for it, the groups around us that are doing the fighting, the leaders in our community, just the grassroots activism, the rallies, the protests, all of that. And so when I went to the Amsterdam News, I said, I want to bring that energy back to the paper. And that's what I focused on in the last 16, 17 years. So
that's amazing.
It's been a heck of a journey.
No, it has. And I mean, the activism that has been evolving throughout the many years. I mean, things that we've just been seeing, the unjust services that's happening to the blacks in our communities. And you guys have really been, you yourself, I mean, you have really been focusing on telling the story, telling the right story.
Right. So that was the
And
whole. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That was the.
yeah.
We tell the stories that aren't usually told in the mainstream. Where they get told or not, we tell those stories because they have to
Right.
be told by us. And
Mm-hmm.
for the community, even when I worked for the other newspaper, I would buy the Amsterdam News to support the Black press. Even if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
read the paper for a week, I'd make sure I bought it. And then when I was on the train on the bus, I would let people see that I had it. This is the Amsterdam News. This is the Daily Challenge. So you can
Mm-hmm.
support the Black press. It's the Beacon, Ebony, Jet, whatever it was. Because you get so used to supporting the other papers, the mainstream, and they don't tell our stories. They have a
Right.
different agenda, a different. I was talking to another writer recently, and I said, the way the mainstream tells our stories is to keep the status quo, the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
When we tell our stories, it's to empower our community. So we focus on things that maybe other people don't think about, things happen
Mm-hmm.
that people don't think about. And even if nobody else is talking about it, but if it's big in our community, we will address it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a struggle sometimes, but it's a worthy fight. So
Right.
we maintain it. And to me, it's the fuel that keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
So
Why
even
do
when
you say it's a struggle? Why do you say it's a struggle at
because
times?
sometimes the community looks at the Black press like, oh, that's just that little old, whatever. And they'll speak. I've been to events where some of the leadership even have spoken to the mainstream for an hour. I've waited for an hour to get the interview. And then when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the Black press, it's like, oh, I'm not doing any interviews. I just sat and watched you talk to channel whatever for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? And we get that response. But that's okay because I understand it. So sometimes you have to write around the subject, write around that issue and get the story out
Wow.
of the way. But that's just what it
That
is.
and that's sad, and that's still happening to this day, because I have another media partner that I deal with, and she said the same exact thing. She said,
Mhm.
Sharon, I would be there and there will be the other mainstreams, and it happened to be somebody that was black, and they did this, and then their publicist would turn around and be like, nope, that's it.
Yeah.
Or they will turn around and be like, nope, that's it, I just did this one, this is great, I'm going to be on all, millions of eyes
Right.
showing. But what your platform does is you tell the story, you keep it, relevant. You don't have to go and and figure out what your
Right.
angle is.
Right. Exactly.
And and they still, that's so sad, and as a black publicist, I get angry with that, because that happens with us, when we are actually, pitching to the media and
Mhm.
pitching to the mainstream, and they just totally negate it. And I'm like, do you see the angle? Do you see the storyline? And when we go to you guys, it's like, yes,
We get
you
it
you
immediately.
get it. Yes, you get it. It's immediate. It's like, yes, because this is information that our community needs to know about.
Right.
So but it's really sad that you still go through that.
Absolutely. But I understand it. Do we like it? Not really, but we get it. But that speaks to SM pathology also.
Hmm.
Because the other thing also happens when I say Amsterdam News, oh, wow, great. Yeah, bet. Okay. Yeah, what do you need? So sometimes it works both ways because they understand because of the because of the history of the paper, what we've always done. They
Hmm.
understand the story's going to get told. It's not going to
Hmm.
go through 15 different editors who's going to take out the essence of the story. What you said is
Hmm.
what you want to write. Or you
Right,
say,
right.
I'll say to somebody, you sure you want to say that? It's going to come across really wrong. And I'm like, no, just think what you just said in this climate. I'm like, yeah, these are big people too, big
Mm,
people. I'm like, sure, I don't think you should
mm,
say it in a different way, so it doesn't come across like you are whatever the issue is. And so
right.
okay, not always do I do that, but sometimes
Hmm.
you don't want to say that because the mainstream will take the story. We see our stories on the mainstream, Sharon. We never get sourced or rarely get sourced, and it's
Mm,
the same story but with a different sort of. Um, they take the information and present as if it's their own. But that's okay because we want the source to get out. So however they get out, okay, fine. You want to take the whole story?
right,
Fine. Good,
right,
great.
right.
But
Well,
is it
listen,
being told?
like I said, you guys are doing an exceptional, great job in
Thank you.
terms of getting the message out, tapping into the black community, and not only just New York, nationally. And
Yes.
that's how you guys have become to be known as a national platform. And I give you kudos every single time when I see Amsterdam News is, coming up and just doing great things. So congratulations to that. But that is not the only thing you do, miss.
Well,
I mean,
couple of things. Mhm.
you focus on activism. That is your baby. You're also a radio talk show host. And the
Yes.
show is Back to Basics. It's on the inceptionfm.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to her every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Yes, ma'am.
And you just have some amazing, amazing guests that you talk about. Tell us
Yeah.
some of the guests that you talk about, and what is your real focus on the radio show?
So my first love is actually music. So I make sure that when I do the interviews, I sometimes ask the interviewee, "What song would you want me to play for you?" And they're like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah. What do you do? Hip hop, reggae, Afrobeat? What is it? Jazz?" So my first guest on this station, inceptionfm.com, was Eric Adams and Governor David Patterson,
Mm,
because I wanted to see what Eric Adams, as the mayor, was going to say to the city, the black community.
hmm
And Governor Patterson, I wanted to, it's been a minute since we've heard from him. I wanted to say, wait, where have you been? What are you doing? What's your issue? What do you think about? I like something. It was the Cuomo thing. I think it was Cuomo still in the news a little bit. Um, so I spoke to a lot of different people like you, people who are doing the work, leaders, community activists in particular, musicians sometimes, teachers, regular everyday people that don't always get a platform, so we can hear
hmm
from them. I really believe in speaking to the everyday person. So yeah, we can speak to the mayor and the governor,
hmm
um, governors in different states, electors in different states, activists in different states. I mean, I could speak to the person in the store. So what's it like since pandemic? The heroes. We did a lot in the Amsterdam News. We never missed a single edition, not one, during the pandemic. We kept it moving.
Wow, that's
We
great.
worked from home. We pivoted really quickly.
hmm
Um, we spoke to a lot of nurses and healthcare workers in general, and people who worked in stores, people that drove taxis, people that delivered food, sanitation, police officers. We spoke to everybody so that their voices be heard. And so we do that with the show also. Everyday people, because I want to hear what you have to say about anything, you know.
hmm
So we say it's easy to get, you can get famous people if you want, you can, because then they've got something to sell, they want to talk to you. But what about everybody else, the everyday people? What's their
Right,
perspective on what's going on with the pandemic, with the
right.
state? So, and I go to a lot of rallies too.
hmm
So I can be, I can go to do from the radio show to a rally to a protest. I've done a lot of during the when Eric Garner was murdered, and they shut down the city every night. I did a lot of those rallies. I've been doing this for such a long time, and my focus on that was like before Black Lives Matter, whatever that really was or is. With there's a lot more activists. Don't forget the people that came before them, the Black grassroots people that were doing the work in the streets where there were no cameras around. This was like a movement that everybody took because it was funded and it was something else, and that will all come out in the washing eventually anyway. But
hmm
the grassroots activists that have been doing this work forever, let's talk about them. Let's talk to them. And so we've always done that. So activism is nothing new to us. Doing
hmm
the rallies, being in the protests, being, close to the edge of everything, nothing new to us. We've always done that. So I always interview those folks too, because I think it's
hmm
important for people to see that before the mainstream media took a hold of it. We've been talking about gun violence, Sharon, I've been talking to Eric Adams about the Iron Pipeline for at least 15 years. 15
Wow.
Eric Adams
Wow.
when he was still in the NYPD. And
hmm
so we talked about how the guns were coming from Connecticut and down south and all of that and what needed to be done back then. Nothing's
hmm
changed. So now the mainstream want to talk about it because suddenly it's affecting everybody. So now they want to talk about, oh my God, it's really bad. But it's been bad and you ignored it.
hmm
That was affecting you. You want to talk about it. So
Yeah, it's been bad in the Black community. So you're now making it you're taking the platform and making it much larger because there's so many things that needs to be done with that particular issue, gun violence. But there's so much more. There's
yeah.
so much more. You are a breast cancer survivor.
Oh yeah.
Breast cancer is one of the largest killers for Black women. One, because we just don't go and get our mammograms, or it could be just the lack of resources for
Right.
us to get our mammograms. And and by the time we find out, it's too late.
Yes. Yes.
And I know that you are a strong advocate for that, and congratulations for being a survivor.
Thank you.
But how did that pan out for you? I mean, I know you have kids, you're an editor of a major newspaper, and I know this was some years ago, but I know it's still, it still affects you in a way, especially when you hear that, this is one of the leading killers for Black women.
So with me, it was 2007, and I just happened to find a lump, and I immediately went to the doctors, and they said, "Oh, it's probably nothing. Don't worry about it. It's probably benign." Then I
Mm,
got a phone call about 2 weeks later saying, "Oh, actually, it's not benign, and we have to try, take it out." So
mm,
I was a mom then, a single mom, and my children were like 5 and 8 then. I'm thinking, and it hits you like a ton of bricks because you think about your mortality instantly.
mm-hmm.
So I went through like I don't know, like 7 or 8 procedures. Um,
Wow.
then I had the mastectomy and instant reconstruction. Um, and I had chemo, and chemo was a beast. I mean,
Mm,
this you can't sugarcoat it.
wow.
So I thought to myself, with all the crying and the bleeding that I did, I've got to make it make sense for someone else. I've got to help somebody else. And so I formed this group called Square Circles, where I would talk to mostly women, but sometimes men, about cancer, what to expect or what you could expect, what happened to me. I was, experienced as a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I said, ask me anything at all. The
Mm,
most basic questions, the most embarrassing questions, anything. I will tell you what it was like for me. I remember one of our activists, he's gone now. He's one of his assistants had cancer, and he said, "Now I've been told to get chemo. What do you think?" Call me like in the middle of the night or something, and I said, "Well, you've got to take it under advisement because it either kills you or helps you live longer. I
wow.
can't, I can't call it. I don't know, but for me, my hair, I had locks then at the time, and I remember when they said at the hospital, they gave me all these books with these wigs to wear, and you know, if your hair falls out, which you will, they said, and they won't look at me like, yeah, your hair's really gonna fall out, girl, and you should be happy like that. And I'm like, my locks will fall out. They said it will fall out. So after the first treatment, Shan, I saw 2 locks on the floor at my office. I thought, oh no. So I thought, I said to my girlfriend, if my hair falls out, I want you to cut it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went home and I was pulling my hair, and it was like cotton wool, and it was just coming
Oh,
out.
wow.
So I cut it. I didn't even have to cut it; it was just coming out. So I always wore head wraps anyway. So I just wore
Mm-hmm.
head wraps. Um, and so I had an Afro wig. I bought an Afro wig off 125th Street for 29.99. I feel like I want to wear this wig. I'm gonna wear this wig. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I never wore it though. I just wore head wraps all the time. But I wanted to let other women know what it was like, what to expect, and how you can get through it if you have a survival system, survival network.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to have a survival network. It could be friends or family, just professionals, whoever it is for you. And for me, apart from family, people I thought would show up, some of them did not. And people I hadn't spoken to in years showed up. Now, what
Wow.
can I do for you? Do you want to just have the children? Should we make dinner for you? The funny thing was, though, I remember when I lived in Harlem, a lady lived in the building, and she said to me, actually, it wasn't, well, two things. The lady knocked on the door, she said to me, can I cook dinner for you and the girls? And I was starving hungry. And I said, no, I'm good, thank you. Because I didn't know how to receive it.
Wow.
And then somebody else, his wife asked me, an elected's wife asked me, I can come to the house and cook you dinner. And I said, no, I'm fine. And I was starving hungry. Plus, I just had major surgery and I couldn't really move
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know how to receive it. Because I'm so busy, I'm so used to giving out
Even now, yeah, yeah. To receive, it was hard for you to do that.
Then I got a phone call from a radio host who said to me, "Why am I hearing you're not receiving help?" I said, "How did you know?" He said, "I know." And knock it up. I said, "Okay."
Wow.
So one of the things I tell people when I'm doing my speeches or whatever, don't do what I did. Take the help. But it's as
Absolutely.
women, I was speaking about off mic, of camera. We don't always know how to receive the help because we're so busy being moms and providers and caregivers and all of that. It's hard sometimes to
It's
receive it
hard.
and say, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna fall back and let you take over." So
It is hard. It is hard, especially for Black women. It is really, really hard. But women in general, we are that caretaker. We're taking care of everybody. So when someone comes, you feel like you're that superwoman. When she wrote, when that song was made, every
yeah,
single woman out here felt that.
you're
And
like,
we are
mhm.
that superwoman. But in actuality, superwoman has her breakdowns also.
Absolutely.
and she needs that help also. So we need to do that. So I'm glad that that radio host called you and said, knock it off, accept the help
I think,
for
did I knock
you.
it off? Probably not. I don't know. Probably didn't. I will now if it should happen again, something like that. But yeah, but you don't have to, and we should. And that Superwoman cloak, it's nice and everything. But guess
Mhm,
what? I did a book, breakthrough edition, women's empowerment. Shout out to Rosalind McIntosh, and there
mm,
was 11 different women with 11 different stories, and it was all about how we pushed through our particular challenge. Sometimes it
mhm,
was violence, it was unemployment, it was homelessness. With me, it was the breast cancer. How do you survive your challenge? And we were empowered and we broke through the challenge, and we here standing talking about it. Not everybody can do that though.
mhm,
What I wanted to do, the reason why I did the Square Circles group was so that other women could see that you can go through the highest time in your life and still survive it. Hopefully, you know what I mean. You can come through on the other end. And is it hard? Yes, it is. Do you have nights of crying? Yes, you do. Do you have nights of despair? Yes, you do. First to say, absolutely.
mhm,
But if you've got your network, your survival group, your sister girlfriends, whoever it is, your partner, you can push through and come through on the other side and say to another sister, another. I remember one of the elders said to me, I went to Medgar Evers, I was doing a panel. One of the great elders said to me, he sat outside, he said, so I did an article in the Amsterdam News just after I came through chemo. I thought I've got to tell my story, so it's out there.
mhm.
I told this in a 2-part story. It was the toughest thing I've done in a long time. But I did it because I knew other women needed to see it. And I knew if I didn't do it right then, I might not do it ever. So I did it. And I got phone calls from all over the world.
Wow.
Spain, England. I remember a former intern of mine from Atlanta. She's about 20. She said, I read your article. You said, do you remember me? I said, I remember you. How you doing, baby? She goes, well, I've got what you had, is what she said to me. And I'm mad at the whole world. And my parents don't know how to talk to me. And I'm just mad. And she said, I said, so I talked to her for a while. I said, your parents don't know how to handle it because you're their baby and they're crying for you inside. You've got to let them help you if you can. Then she said, well, what about a boyfriend? You know, da, da, da. I said, well, you know what? You know what I found? Because I thought I was going to be a nun, Sharon. I thought I'm going to be a nun,
Really?
smocks all the time. You know what I mean? No, no, not at all. Men were like, yo, so sis, hey, what's up? What do you not see the bandages and what are you crazy? But
Mhm,
some men, okay. So I said to the lady, young lady, I said to her, listen, the man that doesn't want to be with you because you had cancer isn't worth being with. So
right.
know that, but also know that some men are compassionate and they'll see that as a strength in you and they'll love you for it.
Mhm,
I mean, and so we spoke for a while, and I said, try and be like understand that your parents are trying, especially your dad. That's you're his baby girl. He doesn't
mm,
understand how to talk to you. Let him just allow him.
right.
So when I did this article, one of the great elders with Medgar Evers College, and he was sitting outside waiting to go in and do his panel. And he said to me, I read your piece. I said, oh, you did? He said, yeah, and I cried. Sharon, this guy is one of our great, great, great elders. Great.
Mm,
You know him. He's gone now. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I just felt it. I cried. And I said, well, did it help? Or did it just, he said, no, it helped. But I didn't know. So I thought to myself, well, if that makes a change in somebody, if it helps somebody, I did a thing. Remember Human Books in Harlem?
yes.
I did Esther and my some sisters, Linda Duggan,
Mhm,
uh, Rosalind McClinnock, and some others. They did a panel, and I was I think that was the keynote, and there's a bunch of people there. And I remember I was talking about, if you're going to do the mastectomy, make sure you can do what you call it, I can't remember the term now. You can build the breast at the same time, is what I said.
mhm,
So she said, well, listen, I was just told I've got to have a double mastectomy. And I don't know why, because I've done all my tests. I've gone for my mammogram every single year. And now I've got to do this double mastectomy. And she was so mad at the world. And I could tell her nothing to help her. She was just mad at the world. And I said, well, do you have somebody to support you? She goes, yeah, I do, but I got to go. And left. And I thought, maybe I didn't reach her. And I thought, I always felt bad about that. But then I remember this guy came and he had 2 wedding rings. He said, I wear my wife's wedding ring. She's gone now. She had breast cancer. I wear both our rings. I want to thank you for the things that you said. a man. So I'm thinking if I can reach men and women, young and old, I'm gonna keep talking.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. And you have the power of the voice, you have the power of the pen, you have the power of so many things. And I know one of the things that you really want to, and talk about, and that what you're doing is just showing the power of what we have,
hmm
and the power of what we sometimes don't use because we feel that people will not listen or they won't take heed to it. And you went on and just said, you know what, if I get you, fine. If not, I'm going to get somebody.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to get. So you're in the right business, you're in the right place. The power of media shows that you can really show people's power by
yeah,
telling their story and telling your story so you can empower others. I mean, breast cancer, people that have it, that are survivors, people who lost loved ones to it, just like that the man that you were talking to, he wears his wife ring and his.
hmm
He's still hurting, but your
yeah,
story helped him.
yeah.
Your
So keep,
story helped him. So, I just want to just thank you so much for sharing with us and letting us know how we can actually use our power for good, and
yeah,
to just stop all the negative, and just, be that activist,
yeah,
because, walking in your footsteps shows that, you stay the course regardless of what anyone else is doing or saying, or putting a hand to you, like, not anymore. You keep going and don't
thank,
let it stop you.
thank you. You try because what else are you gonna do? There's
Yeah.
two options. You keep going or you stop. I think
Yeah.
about what Harriet said when she said, "You can stop here if you want, but I'm gonna leave you here." Do you know what I mean? I'm not. If you're not, we've got one forward is emotion, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
what else are you gonna do? You just have to keep going, and you just have. And I'm my father's daughter, so I always say that because my dad was a strong black man, and I believe that his essence gave me this power. My mom died when I was very very young, so I was raised by a man who, um, he was didn't believe in self pity really. Didn't believe
Hmm.
in just sitting there and you got to move forward. You know what I mean? He had to raise four children without a wife because my mother died. Um, and just keep. So I think I've learned from that energy.
Hmm.
So I try and instill in me in mind that that's what we have to do. You can't just sit there. You can have moments of crying. You can.
Hmm.
Oh, I think it was Oprah said, or was it Maya? Or was it Maya on Oprah maybe? Black women don't have time for depression usually. We just get on with it. But
Yeah.
guess what? We need to take that. What do they call it now? Self care. We need that time just to sit down and say, you know what, honey, you got to do this right now. Take the kids, because otherwise, I need 5 minutes. Like we talked before, 5 minutes
Hmm.
to yourself, just to relax and regroup and refresh and rejuvenate. Then I'm good
Right.
for everybody. But right now, I might need a minute.
Exactly.
I might not want to talk to you about. I get phone calls all Sharon, phone calls. I'm sure you do too. Sometimes like middle of Sunday night. Hey, so I've got this event coming up in 4 weeks. Can I what? You can come in Monday at 9 to 5.
Yes.
Sunday night. What do I want to talk to you about?
Yes.
Mom, get out of here with that. Yeah, but I
Yes.
thought you thought wrong. And I had to learn how to cut people off in terms of time. Because people will take somebody called me at 3 in the morning and said to me, "Oh, I didn't think you'd pick up." But you called me at 3.
Well, you called me,
And I
so
got people
it must be something wrong.
have people in different time zones.
Hmm.
Every AM phone call, you think, oh my goodness, it must be right. Your mind goes to that place. And it was like an event that's going on in 6 weeks. I said, I'm going to leave a message, she said to me. I'm like, girl, you could have called me and nothing.
but that's
Going
but
right.
that's a part of the giving. You thought something was wrong, so you
Yeah,
answered the call. You're constantly answering the call.
right.
So we want to thank you so much for answering the call. We want to thank you for giving the Black community, business activists, everybody that is in the Black community that is looking to be successful, that you're giving them a platform on many levels, not only with the Amsterdam News, but with your radio talk show. You're giving them options. You're giving them options. You're giving them opportunities. And now that I know that you are a speaker, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if
There we
you are
go.
looking for her to come out and speak and talk about her story, this is something where it never gets old.
Mm.
because everybody's story is different. You know, the publicist in me, it's like, okay, the story is different. The story impacts everybody differently.
Yeah.
And that's what you're bringing out. So thank you so much for all of your time. Thank you for your dedication. And, you know, listen, we're going to be connecting a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for this invitation. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, but you've been so lovely when I met you that day at the award. And thank you for that. That was your circle. I appreciate that so much. I was very, very surprised. And it was such
Mhm.
a beautiful event. And so much networking was going on. It was
Yes.
gorgeous. You know, beautiful Black people together. The brothers were very polite, leading us to our table and pulling out the chair and asking us what we want. One young
Mhm.
man said, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "Well, since you asked, can I get a yellow Lamborghini?"
They're asking, so why not? Ask not, want not.
Right.
So, you know,
He stopped me thinking, is she serious? And I don't even like Lamborghinis. I said, but you know, since you asked, and I said, no, I'm good, thank you. But it was nice
Mhm.
though. It was
It was
beautiful.
nice. And it was a pleasure to finally meet you because, you know, again, I'm a publicist. So I pitched to Amsterdam
Right.
News. And it's good to meet the face
Mhm.
behind the email.
Thank you
So
so much.
thank you. And I look forward to building relationships with you. I look forward to engaging and connecting you to more people that you can help tell their story. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you at the next NetStruc Talks.
Thank you.